A very good Monday morning to everybody. Well, huge parts of the west of Ireland, and if not all of Ireland, and the British Isles are experiencing flooding. Massive flooding. It's particularly bad in parts of England, Scotland, Wales, and of course Ireland. Now, I'm going to have to stop every few minutes and wipe the lens of the camera, simply because it's continuing to rain here. So let me just put my coffee down, and you'll just have to excuse this. There we go. Right. Okay. What I want to do, I want to take you on a water journey this morning here at Bealtaine, and I'm a wee bit out of breath simply because I've been out along the waterways checking to see that everything is flowing and that the water has a sense of direction, because with the extreme weather events, which of course are the huge signal for climate change, everything's become very chaotic, and water actually doesn't like to be chaotic. Water likes to flow. It likes to flow, and it likes to know where it's going. And that is like the order of nature. So I'm going to take you up here in this bank, and you'll be surprised at the tiny little stream bed, if you like, that I have dug out years and years ago. I've been here now getting on for 16 years, so this was dug out just after the digger had been and gone and dug out the huge ditches and channels. So now there's the little robin down there, because of course I've just been along this bank, and just with the heel of my welly, and I've got pretty big wellies, I've just cleared. You can see all the little bits and pieces that I've cleared from here. Look, you know, it's as simple as this. Look how simple this is. This of course comes from decades, if not centuries, of land mismanagement. There should never have been a water course going down here. But beyond this fence, this isn't my land, this belongs to someone else. And the water has always flown down that little sort of bank. And it should have been diverted and coursed, you know, decades ago really. But anyway, so 16 years ago, I noticed this water coming onto my land. And directed it, just with a tiny little channel that I dug out, okay, directed it into the first big ditch that the digger dug out under my instructions. So of course what I did, I'd walked the land. I had walked the land intensely for weeks and weeks and weeks, and knew exactly where the water was going to go. So you can see it's just flowing along this inauspicious little ditch. This is the wild area of Bealtaine, just along the fences. Keep it very wild for the wildlife. And you can see there's a little wooden bridge I put up there to get to this bank. Now you can see it flowing along. Look, I mean, it comes from this little diversion. It's flowing downhill along here. Look, good flow on it. You can see that good flow, and along into the first big ditch, which was started by the digger sort of around here. This bit I've dug out because I knew where the water was going to be wanting to go. So we're just going to follow this ditch around. you can hear underfoot it's very squelchy. You know, the land is absolutely sodden with water. But here we go. Now you can see the flow up there. It's kind of gushing in. Yesterday I went along here, and as you can see from all the leaves that are piled up between the lime trees and elsewhere, I shovelled out masses of leaves that had got washed down into this in order to make sure that that kept flowing, because yesterday the water was very, very high in here. It needed to have a bit more movement to it. So now you can see here where I've planted a little hedge. Here we go again. Now the little hedge has been planted years ago in order to maintain the integrity of the soil on the banks of this, because you don't want soil being washed into a ditch, because that way the ditch then will need to be dredged big time, and that's a big piece of work. Now you can see, look, I've planted both sides of this ditch. See? Let's look back up. Look at that. A sight to behold. I mean, I find this very beautiful. When water has the chance to flow gracefully, it will. And this is what's happening here. It's flowing gracefully. Now for me, as a Celtic pagan woman, water has got as much life in it as I have, if not more, because the life in water is more complex. So the water reacts to, I think, the land it's flowing on and the people who's tending it. That's what I've found. I mean, all these are my experiences. So here we go. This is Patron. You can see a wee bit of snow down there. Now look at this flow. Beautiful flow on this. And I'll just hold the camera down so you can see. Look at that. I've been along the whole ditch, clearing. Now the overhanging stuff is good because that actually captures any leaves. So let me just go onto the wild edge here. And you can see, look at that, beautiful flow. Clean this lens again. You can actually hear the flow. Can you hear it? Look, see? Now, this will catch the northward slope of this land, and it will run off down here, down along my wild edge. So we're going to follow the water down as far as we can. There's my stone circle there. Whew. And you can see the piles of leaves, look, that I've piled up from the ditch. Oh, that's wonderful mulch, wonderful food for the plants. So nothing is discarded. Just looking down over the Lunacy garden here, and I'm seeing lots of beautiful buds, look, on the ribes. So when I stepped outside the back door this morning, I could actually hear the sound of water, and I knew, of course, it had been raining again overnight. Now, I'm hoping this video will hold up for as long as I'm shooting. Okay, let's scroll on down. So we're going down now towards the fairy wood. Now yesterday, I was down in the fairy wood and along the banks of the second big ditch that I had dug out. Where's that boy gone? Jack? Oh, there he is, yeah. I know he's never too far away. Now, so we go down towards the fairy wood, and again, the water from that big ditch is now flowing through what was an old ditch from years ago. But there's enough of a slope here not to have to dig this out. So during the dry times, of course, there's lots of plants grow, but you can see and you can hear all that water, and it's flowing quite beautifully down through here. Now this will actually come down through the spring well, the spring well being the lowest point as we go downhill. It's all downhill here. Now this path, of course, is quite wet, but again, all this water is flowing as well, and I'll show you. So I spent most of yesterday just clearing out little ditches. This is another little ditch, look, and you can see the water flowing down there. I cleared all this yesterday, flowing off down that way. You can hear it, can you see? Flowing off down there beautifully down towards the second big ditch. So we go back over this way now towards the fairy wood. Sorry, towards the spring well. I'm actually in the fairy wood. So we're here now at the spring well, and this is an unusual sight for you. You don't normally see this, but there's all the water now from the upper ditch flowing beautifully through the spring well and down into the watercourse. Beautiful sound, isn't it? So the water at this point now is very clear. It's very, very clear. And look at the flow on this, isn't this beautiful? And you can see as well from the lightness of the bottom of the stream how much cleaning I've done. So all this has been cleaned out. Isn't that lovely? What a beautiful sight. And look at this massive flow now. Absolutely massive flow. But this, of course, is what I wanted to show you down here. This is the other ditch, and you can see I've been along cleaning that out. And look at the wonderful, wonderful flow of water. Now, both of these, see this? This is why my land is not boggy. It was boggy when I first came here, but it's no longer boggy. So we've got all this water from the second ditch, which was cleaned yesterday by myself, and all this water from the upper ditch and the spring well coming down and meeting. Now here it slows down a little bit, but then it picks up speed again, and there we go. It's rushing along the edge of my property. Look at that. I mean, this is absolutely perfect water management. And my challenge is, I mean, I'm a 64-year-old grandmother, for goodness sake, with no resources, no government funding, nothing at all to aid the Bealtaine project. I've managed to work all this out and create this water system on my own. Well, the first few weeks of the Bealtaine project with the help of a digger, but that was almost 16 years ago. Since then I've maintained the waterways, and they've got better and better and better. I mean, look at that. That's perfect. So there we go, it's flowing on down. I mean, look how perfect that is, because you can see the little stones now in the bottom of the stream bed. It's now a stream bed. And it's flowing so well, and it's doing such good work, that water from neighbouring fields, look, can you see over there? is joining it. Can you see the water flow from there? That's from my neighbour's property. But the water is joining together now. It's going through this stream bed. Now this was originally a ditch that was dug out, but I told John, the digger driver, not to dig too straight a line because this was going to become a stream as I envisaged it. And you can see now it is a beautiful stream. And look at the primroses down there on the bank. And again, I've planted both sides of the stream to keep the integrity of the earth on the banks. I mean, this is common sense. For goodness sake, it's common sense. And yet, every time there's excessive rain or a storm, we're subjected to images on our screens of devastation. Devastation and despair. There is no need for it. I mean, the world outside Bealtaine, the cottage, to me seems to be absolutely mad. Is no one thinking? Is no one looking at the problem? Is no one walking the land? Well, that's probably one of the big problems, because all these farmers and land management agencies are sitting in their big 4x4s, driving around, you know, talking to media. I mean, look at this water flowing. Just perfect. Perfect, perfect. Goes all the way down now, it comes into the pond. That above, of course, was the silt pond. And I have described that on previous videos. Down here, of course, is the lower pond. So we're going to walk on down right to the point where this water leaves my property. Now I'm walking on land, look, which is not waterlogged. Okay, there's a bit of water there because it's been raining for a long time, but I'm able to walk comfortably on this land. So here we go. Let's just go up to the little birthing pool that I dug out as a little shelter for the frogs. And look, the frogs have used it, you know? So this is the main pool, which is fairly deep. Now there's lots of frog spawn in there, you can see. But look at the birthing pool, which is sheltered and away from the main drag. You can see lots of frog spawn in there. But this is absolutely packed with frog spawn. So again, because I hand dug out this little pool, this has now saved the frog spawn from being washed away. Now, I haven't been to university to study environmental science or environmental management or anything like that. This, to my mind's eye, is common sense. What has happened to common sense? Now here is where all the water is coming through now. Look at this, it's falling over stones, getting oxygenated. And there, going all the way down that way, there's that little bit of frog spawn that was washed down. You see, and it's found this little sheltered bit away from the main drag. There's the water flowing beautifully. Perfect. And we'll walk on down to the gate. Oh look, the blackbird's been down kicking up the moss and whatever, looking for food. So here we go. The water's flowing beautifully down here. Look at that. Just perfect. Down, down, down. You can hear it. Now this is part of my little wetlands down here. I hand dug out this little bit as a sort of a wetland area. Go on down. Look at the flow on that. Isn't that beautiful? Just beautiful. Water is our friend, not our enemy. And I think we need to get our heads round the way that we see Mother Earth and the environment. Now it's flowing down, deep down here, into great big pipes that I had put in underneath this little driveway, out the other side. There we go. Away it goes to the River Firish, then to the River Shannon, the mighty Shannon, and then into the Atlantic Ocean. I think everyone has to ask themselves, what on earth is going on? What on earth is going on? How have we got things so mixed up and so crazy and so disrespectful to Mother Earth that there's now massive areas of land under dreadful flooding? What on earth is going on? Doesn't have to be like that. Blessings to you all.